Hello and welcome back to the world of the spirit consciousness. This is a book study session on the Etheric Double by Arthur Powell. We are currently in the fourth module, which covers Kundalini, the atomic web, the work of Dr. Walter Kilner, and parts of chapter 22. This particular video session, we are discussing the work of Dr. Walter Kilner, which deals with some tests that he had done to see the aura. So, as we have discussed, this module has Kundalini, the atomic web, the work of Dr. Walter, and nature spirits. We are discussing the work of Dr. Walter Kilner in this particular video session. So, this video session is divided into sub-chapters as introduction, the similarity of findings with clairvoyant studies, the procedure of investigation, the findings which cover the appearance, behavior, health, and aura, the manipulation of aura by will, the aura of other energy types. And then there are further areas of research that he has recommended. Coming to the introduction, so Dr. Walter conducted detailed investigations on the human aura with the help of colored screens. He subsequently published his findings in his book, The Human Atmosphere. This was published in 1911. This book gives a detailed account of the investigations he conducted. His important discoveries and principles are briefly discussed in this chapter in the book. Other details like the method of using the screens can be found in his book, and the reader may refer to it for the same. So there are similarities in findings that Dr. Walter has had, which are similar with the other clairvoyant studies. So a detailed and judicious analysis of doctors' results show that they are accurate to a considerable extent with those derived by clairvoyance. It seems as though Dr. Kilner had conducted a more in-depth analysis of the structure of aura and how diseases impact it. The similarities include, so what Dr. Kilner has termed as the etheric double is clearly similar to what is defined as the same by clairvoyance. The striations or the line-like formations in the inner aura as described by the Dr. Kilner are the health aura as we normally call it. The outer aura, as Dr. Kilner calls it, seems to be the etheric matter from which the prana has been removed along with the other etheric excretions from the body. This we have already discussed in one of the previous modules. The reader may compare the outlines of aura as defined in Dr. Kilner's book with plate 24 of the health aura in man, visible and invisible. So this is one more book that you could refer to. So the procedure of investigation. So Dr. Kilner denied any clairvoyant powers, and he insisted that his procedures were wholly physical and can be achieved by anyone who took the required efforts. So he used screens which were thin and flat, were made up of glass, and contained these dyes and alcohol. I'm not sure how to pronounce them, dicyanin dyes. And the colors utilized for his procedures are dark and light carmine, blue, green, and yellow. So the person conducting the procedure looks at light through a dark screen for about half a minute or a little longer. He then looks at the patient through a pale screen until he or she is able to see the aura. At first, the screen temporarily impacts the eyes, but later it occurs permanently, hence enabling the operator to perceive the aura without screens. It is advisable to be very careful while using the screens because it may cause a lot of pain to the eyes. So in terms of lighting, a dim light should be utilized. So it should be coming from one direction, preferably from behind the observer. So generally a dead black background is important, but for some observations, a white background is also used. So to remove the possibility of shadows or optical illusions, the patient should be approximately 12 inches in front of the background. And then there are use of color strips, which along with the use of the colored screens, doctor also made use of another innovative method of studying the aura. This was through the use of complementary colors, as he called it. So this method, the investigator looks fixedly at a quite well illuminated band of color, about 2 inches by 3/4 of an inch, for 30 to 60 seconds. Due to this, the eyes become tired of looking at the color, reducing the sensitivity to such color and becoming abnormally sensitive to other colors. Then, the operator looks directly at the patient and the color complementary to the band of the same size and the same shape are perceived for some time. It has been observed that changes in the color of the aura give an effect as if the appearance on the complementary color band have changed too. Using this to advantage, an experienced observer can understand numerous facts about the aura which would remain undetected if only a screen was used in the study. So a continuation, the colors used by Dr. Kilner in the CC band are gamboge having a CC which Prussian blue, Antwerp blue which has the complementary color as gamboge, carmine having transparent emerald green as its complementary color, and emerald green having carmine for its complementary color. So limitations and caveats are always very important. Since the screen is used to prepare the eye to detect the auras, it becomes difficult to understand correctly the variations in the color of the aura. The main colors that are seen vary from blue to gray. This color scene depends more on the nature of the individual and the mental powers and not on changes in physical health. Better the mental strength, bluer is the aura. Worse the mental strength, more gray is the aura. Findings, appearance. So the aura consists of three parts, and Dr. Kilner called them as the etheric double, the inner aura, the outer aura. So the appearance of the etheric double through the screen, the etheric double looks like a dark band close to and following the shape of the body exactly. It has a fixed width throughout and ranges from 1/16th to 3/16th of an inch. The size differs from person to person and also with the same person under different conditions. It seems to be transparent and is clearly in linear patterns running parallel to each other with rose-colored lines running in between. The rose color consists more of blue than carmine and the lines are most probably self-luminous. Till the publishing of the book, no such changes or qualities have been found in the etheric body which can help in diagnosis. The inner aura begins from the outer side of the etheric double, although it often looks as if it's touching the body itself. It has a fixed width of 2 to 4 inches throughout, although at times it may be narrower near the limbs and it follows the shape of the body. The inner aura is comparatively wider in children than in adults. Structure-wise, it is granular and consists of fine granules which are arranged in such a way that it looks like it's an inner line formation. The outer aura begins from the outer part of the inner aura. It differs in size to a considerable extent, unlike the inner aura. The variations in size are: around the top of the head, the outer aura expands approximately 2 inches beyond the shoulders. By the sides and back of the torso, it has a width of about 4 to 5 inches and becomes a little narrower in front of the body. The outer aura follows the outline of the body closely and at times is a bit narrower towards the lower limbs. So the outer aura around the arms corresponds to that around the legs, but is often more wide near the hands and is a longish projection from the fingertips which is seen. So this outline of the aura is not very well defined and it eventually disappears into space. So for example, if this is the body, the lines I'm not able to, so it will just kind of disappear away, something like this. So the outer aura looks non-luminous and lacks structure. The inner side of the aura has bigger granules than the outer side, the differently sized particles gradually blending into one another. So other factors, the inner aura alters to a great extent in texture, but not so much in its say, size or shape. On the contrary, the outer aura alters more in shape and size, but hardly any change is observed in its texture. The damages of the inner aura happen simultaneously with corresponding changes in the outer aura. Gender-wise, boys and girls up to the age of 12 or 13 have a similar looking aura, except the girl's aura is generally finer than that of the boy. Beginning from adolescence, the auras of males and females become more well defined and start showing changes. The female aura is much wider at the sides of the body, the area around the waist being the widest. Also, it is wider at the back as compared to the front and is widest at the small of the back where it often projects out. So in children, the aura has a comparatively broader look, proportionate to the height as compared to adults. Children, especially male, have an inner aura that is almost twice as wide as the, or sorry, it's almost as wide as the outer aura and is thus a little tedious to differentiate the two. Intelligent versus dull people, it varies. So the former have a comparatively larger aura, especially around the head, and the dullness or the mental affectedness of a person is characterized by more grayness in the aura. So according to Dr. Kilner, an oval-shaped aura is the most apt, and changes in the shape being due to lack of development. So features such as fineness and transparency may be linked to a higher kind of aura. Occasionally, a very light haze is visible which extends towards the outside a very long distance ahead of the outer aura. This haze abnormally covers a large area and is most probably an extension of the outer aura. So Dr. Kilner names this haze as the ultra-outer aura. So the appearance of rays, it has been observed that bright patches, rays or streams are emitted from different parts of the body. These rays seem to appear and disappear quickly and sometimes they linger. These rays appear colorless, although they do have some tinted shades in them. So the shades can be bluish gray, red or yellow. So wherever these rays occurs, the aura becomes thicker. So these rays are of three different types. Type 1, they are lighter than the aura which surrounds it, and they are close to the body, though completely separated. Effectively, the aura envelops the first type of the ray. Usually, they are elongated and the axis is parallel with the body. The sides of this ray are well defined and coincident with the edge of the aura. However, the ends are dim, contracted, and fade into the nearby aura. The inner aura within the ray usually gives up its striated form and appears increasingly granular. The longer the ray persists, the coarser the granules become. Type 2. So these types of rays are emitted from one part of the body to another closer part to it. They are the brightest of the three rays and can be seen running from one body part to another. For example, from the body to an arm, or if the arm is bent, from the armpit to the wrist. It is observed that when the observer places his or her hand near the patient, the second type of ray in both becomes much brighter and a ray will run from the hand to the closest part of the patient. Notably, these types of rays are formed effortlessly between points as compared to surfaces. In one example, the ray passing from one person to another was bright yellow and it changed to a liquid ruby color. Type 3. So these type of rays are emitted at a right angle from the body into space and are much brighter than the outer aura. They extend till at least the other aura and at times beyond the outer aura. The sides of these rays are generally parallel and not fan-shaped. The edges of these rays become pointed towards the end and fade into space, mainly from the tip of the fingers. The rays are found to always be straight and perpendicular to the body. However, these rays may be in any direction. For instance, when the ray is passing from the tips of one person's finger to that of another. It can be concluded that the rays are simply an extension of the inner aura due to the following reasons. Their structure is similar to that of the inner aura. They never dull the outer aura, either in thickness or in the radiance, hence leading to the fact that they both originate from the same place, which is the body. So next set of findings on the behavior, health and aura. So from the facts stated above, certain points of difference can be found between the inner aura and the outer aura. The inner aura has straight lines, while the outer aura has no well-defined structure. The inner aura has a well-defined border, while the outer aura has hazy borders. The inner aura has rounded ends, while the same cannot be said for the outer aura. The rays originate from the inner aura, but no ray originates from the outer aura towards the inner aura. So based on these differences, Dr. Kilner arrived to the conclusion that it is most likely that the outer aura is obtained from the inner aura. Both the auras don't have a common origin force, and Dr. Kilner hence suggests that the number one auric force, which he calls 1AF, gives rise to the inner aura and behaves vigorously inside a specific area. So these rays can be emitted consciously by an effort of will and increased force in a specific area. The number 2 auric force originates in the outer aura or originates the outer aura, and it moves around freely and is active in a wider area as compared to 1AF. Apparently, it is not dependent on will. So the different stages of health impact these auric forces, and through these forces, they impact the aura. However, the impact on the inner aura and outer aura can be different. So in case of a localized ailment, all these striae or line-like formations in the inner aura can vanish, make it thick and opaque, and also causing a change in its color. The rays may look as if they are coarse as compared to the healthy fine striae, or it may also create a space without the inner aura in it. Changes occur comparatively lesser in the outer aura, which originates from the 2AF, than the changes that happen in the inner aura. So in case of a general ailment affecting a larger part of the body, the outer aura changes. So if a large part of the body is affected, the shape of the outer aura completely changes. The outer aura becomes narrow, but there may be no change in the inner aura. However, if the inner aura becomes narrow, the outer aura shrinks too. So in the inner aura can become narrower on one part of the body as compared to the other, along with a change in the texture and color of the inner aura. The thickness may become less and the color may vary too, but it never disappears. So when the inner aura shrinks, it signifies a serious disease. Sometimes the aura breaks too. When a disease occurs, the first indication is a decrease or loss of striations. Along with this condition, the granules become coarser, probably because of amalgamation with the smaller granules. So examples of changes in aura driven by specific ailments are hysteria. So for example, the outer aura, which is more broad at the sides of the torso region, suddenly shrinks near the pubic area, and a bulge occurs at the back of the lower region. Epilepsy. Throughout their whole strength, one part of the inner and outer aura gets affected. The inner aura becomes opaque and its texture becomes coarser. The striations also vanish and the color turns to gray. So coming to the next part of findings, manipulation of aura by will. So Dr. Kilner conducted some experiments which proved that rays can be projected by an effort of will from various parts of the body, and the color of the ray or a part of the aura can be changed by an effort of will. Colors that have been produced using will are red, blue, and yellow. So yellow was the toughest to produce, while blue was the easiest. So aura of other energy types. So Dr. Kilner observed that under conditions similar to that of observing rays of individuals, but with more difficulty, he could see magnetic energy. So poles of magnets having a bluish haze or aura surrounding them. So he also checked the radioactive energy by looking at a crystal of uranium nitrate, which had a yellow aura. Electric energy. So poles of galvanic cell or around any conductor of electricity joining, surrounding, or in the space around the poles had a bluish aura. So Dr. Kilner recommends further areas of research as well. So he says it would be valid to conclude, uh, Mr. Powell says that it is valid to conclude that if Dr. Kilner's methods were further improvised, the observer could physically see the etheric chakras, the flow of prana into and through the body, how the etheric double is structured inside the body, and what is its nature. Dr. Kilner has reported the difficulty of seeing the aura in the background of flesh. So Powell speculates that if a more suitable background is attainable by coloring the subject himself or herself. So Dr. Kilner has mentioned that his main motive behind conducting this study is to examine and understand the aura from a diagnostic point of view. Hence, it is possible that a further study of the aura may lead to the discovery of new properties which may not be useful from the diagnostic point of view but may be of scientific interest. So, the points are of note and based on the observations in this chapter. So, bad health or diseases adversely affect the aura. Rays are formed from the etheric matter which flows together from auras next to each other. These rays can be formed and guided by an effort of will. An effort of will can also change the color of the rays. This may be a very small step towards magnetic or mesmeric healing. Further study in this matter is hoped for. An investigator who can take the strenuous effort to study the auras would. So the next video is on nature spirits. Stay tuned.